Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the G.I. Joe Classified Series number 177, Sci-Fi. Let's get into it! Let's begin with a look at the packaging. And here on the top, we've got the piggy hook thing. A G.I. Joe star. He's number 177, and we've got that nice carbon fiber kind of looking finish there. G.I. Joe, Seymour Sci-Fi Fine. This is on the front, of course. And again, you know, that carbon fibery looking finish goes on. Nice big window here, showcasing the figure and most of the accessories. G.I. Joe star. G.I. Joe Classified Series. Warning! Don't stick things in your pie hole if they don't belong there. 4 and up, and there's the assortment numbers if you need that kind of thing. Hasbro print on the bottom. Small print, fine print, legalese print, made in China print, symbols I'm not going to learn, and a barcode. On this side, we've got some nice artwork of sci-fi all geared up. G.I. Joe Classified Series number 177 on the other side. Number 177, he's G.I. Joe. Here is his skill set. So if you want to look that up, you can. And then there's that same artwork from the other side, just, you know, colored down. And then there's a QR code if you dare to scan it. Parents, asterisk. And then G.I. Joe Classified Series. Finally, moving on to the back. Number 177, G.I. Joe star. Nice practical shot of the figure in action. And then here are some of the features, which I'm pretty sure are digital renders. And then here's his skill set again. G.I. Joe, Seymour Sci-Fi, fine. And then the asterisk over here leads to this. And yeah, lots of foreign languages there. So attention, especially don't stick things in your French pie hole. Includes figure and 8 pieces, that stuff. Then we have warning, attention, Octoon, don't stick things in any language pie hole that do not belong there. Don't give it to baby, small fine, legalese made in China print, and the assortment number again, and Hasbro print. That, my friends, is a look at the packaging. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories, and we have handy dandy tweezers right here for when we need them to look at some of the smaller bits and bobs. But first off, let's start with his main attraction, which is his laser rifle. And it does have nice molded details in it. It does have, it seems like, a cross between realistic and futuristic details in it, and you know, it looks pretty cool. It's got a nice silver paint app here that carries over to this side, and then you've got a little readout there. I think it says target locked, and then it's got some numbers on it. And then we've got a post right here for the cord, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I have to say, you know, it looks pretty nice. It's a laser rifle. A laser. So next up we have his backpack, which I don't remember how the original backpack looked, but you know, this looks like it fits with this guy. And it's got some nice silver paint apps here for vents, I guess. So I'm guessing this is some kind of battery pack in this backpack. So no details really in here. And then a peg here. And then there's a port here for the hose or cord. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So we have 2 blast effects, and they're pretty cool. This is kind of electrified looking blast. And then this looks like a ball of plasma or something like that. And you can see it's got a peg right here, and then it's got a divot and a port. And this one has a post, and it's kind of rounded off there. And these two can port in together to make one big or bigger effect, but they can both individually be used with the rifle. So this one can go in there. It's not quite as charged up maybe. And I'll have to say it's pretty tight. The port is pretty tight, so be careful with your pegs because they are very small, very thin. And so that can go in there. You can use it like that. I guess it's charging up to fire, and then pew. So there's how that works. Make sure I didn't break the peg off. So next we'll come to the hose or the cord or whatever. And you know, we've been seeing this. This has been around since Dr. Mindbender. And we've seen it reused a lot. And it's got some nice silver paint apps here for the ends, and then nice tubing, and it's ribbed, I suppose. That's what you would call that. And the way that works is you just, this post here on the gun just ports into one end or the other of the cord, and then the other end goes, it doesn't have a, you know, a post in there, but this whole piece just kind of plugs in, and you might have to heat it up to get it in there. The first time I did this I didn't have to. There you go. So a little persistence, and you can get it right in there, because this piece is, it's not super soft, but it's kind of soft. So there is that. Now let's get on to the rest of the accessories. So I think first we'll talk about his helmet, and it looks to be molded in this grayish silvery kind of plastic, and it does have a little bit of the twirls in, or maybe that's mold lines in it, but some of it is molded detail where it's wires and stuff like that. Then it's got this nice paint app on the top portion and here and around the chin strap. So it's a cool looking piece, and it does have, they're not ports exactly, but kind of two divots on here, and that works with the eye shield, which is this one, which harkens back more to the original figure. And it looks like it's molded in this smoky colored plastic, got some black paint apps on the end there, and then silver for these posts. And even on the inside it does have a little bit of molded detail, like where his nose goes. So there's like a divot for his nose, I guess. And the same holds true for this. This is the full face plate, which actually makes more sense for a laser trooper, but I'm not going to do mine that way because I want him to have that more classic look. So again, you know, same deal here, silver paint app, smoky plastic, and then of course I have to drop it. And then it's got that molded detail on the inside where his mouth and, or not his mouth, his nose and maybe his chin goes, or maybe that is his mouth, I don't know. So, but anyway, it does have some spots in there where his head will fit in it properly, or it'll fit over his face properly. And speaking of his face, let's take a look at it. So I don't know what I ever imagined Sci-Fi to look like without his helmet on, but I guess this is it. I don't really think I ever thought about that. I was always like, he's a laser trooper, he's shooting laser beams, he keeps his helmet on all the time when I was a kid. So, and you know, there's a lot of nostalgia in the design of this overlay for the chest, and it really reminds me of that original figure, and I'm sure that's what they were aiming for. But it looks like it might have a little bit of paint apps on it, so that's pretty cool. And then we've got some silver here on the shoulders, and then we've got these, it's black, and I don't know if this is the paint app or this is the paint app, I don't know. And then yeah, he's got a little bit of a collar there, and you know, I guess that's where he buttons it or velcros it. He's a laser soldier, so it's velcro, and that goes for his pants too. So we've got these buckles on his belt. He's got this pack right here with a nice silver paint app. We've got nice molded details there for his wrist gauntlets and for his hands as well, the gloves. And then again, you know, we've got this, I'm gonna say this is yellow, but I'm colorblind, so don't make fun of handicapped people. And black, and then, you know, some silver here and there. And then these, I want to say, are from the Battle Armor Cobra Commander, but that's reuse that makes sense for this guy, in my opinion. Your mileage, of course, may vary. And then, you know, kind of, I don't want to say standard boots. The feet may be that Cobra Commander too, just in a different color. I'm not 100% sure. But then we've got some paint apps on here, right here, and right below the knees, and maybe around here as well. So overall, a nice looking figure, and I think they did a good job on the face. The eyes are nice and crispy and clear, along with the eyebrows and the lips. And I think there's just a little bit right here below his lip and above his chin. So that looks pretty nice. So without all of his equipment, let's see what his articulation is like. He can look up that high. He can look down that low. He's got a little bit of chicken neck. He's got some waggle. It's mostly, well, I want to say it's mostly in the neck, but it seems equally so. He can do the full exorcist. At the shoulder, he's got butterflies. Goes back that far, goes forward that far, and then he can rotate 360 degrees. The shoulder here of his armor does get in the way a little bit. Cut at the upper bicep, 360 degrees of rotation there. Double hinged pinless elbow. And let's see if we can get all of the range out of that. So that's all the range I can get out of it. And then at the wrist, 360 degrees of rotation. This is on an in and out hinge, and it is, what's it on here? It's up and down hinge on this side. So there is that. I'm sure there's a cut where the chest and the abdomen meet under his armor there, and it wiggles around a little bit, but it works in conjunction with the half dumbbell or ball joint here at the waist. So he gets hula there. He gets, let's see, 360 degrees worth of rotation at the waist. He can lean back that far. He can crunch forward that far, and he can lean left and right some. It's a pull down hinge at the hip. With that engaged, he can give you almost the full splits. It's almost there. Let's see how far he kicks forward. He does have some outswing there, but he can kick forward into the side a bit that way, and then back a little better, maybe like 2 lengths of his own foot, maybe 1 3/4. Cut at the upper thigh, 360 degrees of rotation there. Double hinged pinless knee. And you can hear them detents snapping. Well, I hope you can hear them. I could hear them. So he gets that much bend at the knee. And then at the ankle, tilts down that far. It tilts up that far. And there is forward facing pin for rocker, or I don't know how forward facing it is, but there's a pin and it has rocker. So let's talk about his gear. The helmet, just have to work at it a little bit. And and get it on there. So you can see it fits on there pretty good. And then both of the, either one of the shields, not both of the shields at the same time, but either one of the shields you can put in there. And not that one. This one. Let's see what he looks like with the full face shield, which, you know, like I mentioned earlier, it probably makes more sense for a guy who's shooting laser beams to have this, but he's very robot looking that way. And I like the more classic look. Where did that piece go? There it is. So for me, that's the way my sci-fi looks. And then as far as the weapons go, does it go that way? No, I think it goes this way. But I could be wrong. Somebody will let me know, I'm sure. And then he holds his weapon in his hand. And then if you want to put the effects on it, you can. I really don't recommend it, because over time the weight of that is gonna mess those pegs up. So, you know, only use that for action things. So there you have it, my friends. A look at the figure, his accessories, and storage. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Sci-Fi with the G.I. Joe Classified Series Dial Tone and the G.I. Joe Classified Series Mainframe. Here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Sci-Fi with the Valaverse Action Force Special Deployment Series Swarm Sentry and the Valaverse Action Force Swarm Scarab. For our last set of comparisons, here we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Sci-Fi with, from the Marvel Legends series, making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee. From G.I. Joe Classified Series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander. From Star Wars The Black Series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper. And for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final ramblings on the G.I. Joe Classified Series Sci-Fi, I have to say, I do like the overall look of this. It's a bit modernized without straying too far from the original. And I do like the fact that they give you like the visor that he has on now, or the full face shield, which strikes me as a little bit more modern. But to me, it makes him look just a bit too robotic to have his full face covered. Even though that shield does make more sense for somebody who's firing, I guess, highly charged plasma or electricity or whatever his laser is made of. I like the little detail on the side of his gun where it says like target acquired, and then it's, I guess, given coordinates or whatever. And you know, I keep saying that they keep reusing this cord from Dr. Mindbender, but in most cases, it makes sense. And in this case, it does make sense. And it works well. And it's nice reuse of a piece. And speaking of reuse, I do believe his knee and, you know, from the knee down, I do think that is reuse from Battle Armor Cobra Commander. And that makes sense because it looks nice on this figure. So that's a nice part where they can get some reuse out of that part and maybe keep the cost down a little bit. And so I like the overall look of this. It's, again, like I said, updated without straying too far from the classic look. The blast effects, at least the ball piece of the blast effect, it's a bit heavy, and if you display it like that over time, I'm afraid that that peg is going to bend, it's going to warp, it's going to break off eventually. So I really don't recommend putting that blast effect in your display with, you know, on the gun. I mean, if you want to set it next to him or whatever, you know, it's your display, set it up however you want, but I really don't suggest that you use it with the blast effect. The blast effect, that is. Excuse me. So there is a nice looking addition to G.I. Joe Classified Series, and this is one that they don't have to make a retro carded version of. I think it blends the modern and the classic together just right. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very, very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.